ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهديه الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. We are in the subject of التوسل, and التوسل is an issue, or as we talked about it last week, means when a person would do something as a way to draw oneself closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there are permissible means to do that, and there are invented things that is not from the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ that people introduce, that we have to be away from that and be cautious. And that's what always with matters of belief, we have to make sure that we learn it, because it doesn't come by nature or does not come by default, or a person is not born with the correct aqeedah. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent messengers. Otherwise there's no need then for messengers. The messengers were sent for what reason? To call people to believe in the right way. What's in the nature of the human being, that they are born with this, is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran. وَإِذْ أَخَذَ اللَّهُ مِنْ بَنِي آدَمَ مِنْ ظُهُورِهِمْ ذُرِّيَّتَهُمْ وَأَشْهَدَهُمْ عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمْ أَلَسْتُ بِرَبِّكُمْ قَالُوا بَلَى شَهِدْنَا أَنْ تَقُولُوا يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ إِنَّا كُنَّا عَنْ هَذَا غَافِلِينَ. Which means that everybody in their own self, they are born with it, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Rabb of the Alameen. He is the creator, the sustainer, the provider. This is in the nature of every human being. And this is the mithaq, the covenant that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took from every human being. And that's why you go anywhere in the world, people believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those who do not believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is as a state of stubbornness and ignorance. It's not something from their nature. So this is something that a person is born with. What is the job of the messengers? To call people that Allah is the creator? No. The job of the messengers is to call people to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To worship the one that they believe that He is the creator of the heavens and the earth. And as we heard many times, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran about the kuffar at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they said, مَا نَعْبُدُهُمْ إِلَّا لِيُقَرِّبُونَ إِلَى اللَّهِ زُلْفًا, about their idols, that they said we only worship them to get us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They use these idols as wasila, as a mean to get them closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because they worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They even loved Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Mushrikeen of Quraysh, they love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but they had the shirk in matters of love. Right? وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَشَدُّ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, that the believers, they love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more than the disbelievers love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because the disbelievers, they associate with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in matters of love that is supposed to be only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They have a partner with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with this. So believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not save them, unless they would follow the messengers of Allah to worship them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, and not to associate partners with Him. And part of which, if a person then he wants to seek closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we cannot do it based on our emotions or what we think. We have to follow the way of the messengers. And the final messenger is Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that his way overrides all the ways before, abrogates, and his sharia made naskh to all the previous ways and so on. So people, there is no way for them to receive the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to be closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unless they follow the way of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So to humble ourselves, which is part of the belief in when we say وَأَشْهَدُ أَنَّ مُحَمَّدًا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ, is to follow the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, how to be closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not to invent our own ways. We talked last week about this, and then the shafa'ah. And the shafa'ah meaning the intercession of the Prophet ﷺ and the believers to the believers or to the Muslims in the Day of Judgment. And we talked about that last week. This is one of the ways of intercession, is one of the ways of the wasila, right? Which is something that the believers would seek. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informed us about that in the Quran, and the Prophet ﷺ in many hadith. And whoever denies the shafa'ah of the Prophet ﷺ, the intercession of the Prophet ﷺ in the Day of Judgment, this is a major deviation. So it's a matter of belief, because it's unseen to us. And some people, they denied it because they try to use their minds too much, in which it's ghaib, it's wahy, it's revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They would say, how can the Prophet ﷺ intercede for someone that deserves to be in the hellfire from among those who committed major sins, When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَزِرُ وَازِرَةٌ وِزْرَ أُخْرَى, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَيْسَ الْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى, that the human being has nothing for him except what he earned. Right? This is a very important concept in the deen of Islam. So how can then a person would benefit when he died in the state of sin and major sins and so on, and the Prophet ﷺ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give him the permission to intercede, the person will be benefit as a result of that. Right? There is no contradiction. وَلَيْسَ الْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى. This is part of the sa'i of the believers, and that's why the shafa'ah is part of the earnings of the believers. Because the shafa'ah of the Prophet ﷺ, the intercession of the Prophet ﷺ, is only for those who died in the state of Islam. It is not for the disbelievers. So for those who died in the state of Islam, and they have some major sins on them, they did not repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they die with these sins and they're still among the believers, either Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would forgive them, or they would be punished. Some of them will be forgiven, some of them will deserve to enter the hellfire, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give permission to the Prophet ﷺ, and as a result of that they would enter Jannah without being punished. And some of them will be punished in the hellfire, and then the intercession of the Prophet ﷺ, the intercession of the believers, by the permission of Allah, will be the mean for them to get out of the hellfire and to enter Jannah. And we said there are three major pillars that we should always remember, that the issue of the intercession, we don't fall into the other extreme. Some people denied it, and some people went into the extreme in which they would associate partners with Allah. Whether worshipping, the Prophet ﷺ, or asking the Prophet ﷺ. So to avoid that other extreme, we have to remember these conditions that takes away the attachment of the heart to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to eradicate the shirk from the heart. As Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah said, first, al-shafa'ah, intercession, is after the permission of Allah. After the permission of Allah. As we recite all the time in Ayatul Kursi, مَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يَشْفَعُ عِنْدَهُ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِهِ. Who would intercede to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala except by His idhn, except by the permission of Allah. So nobody can initiate and decide, I will intercede for the people. No such a thing. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the owner of all things. He will give the permission in the day of judgment to the Prophet ﷺ and the believers, and we mentioned the long hadith, or some parts of the long hadith of the shafa'ah. The second condition is that the shafa'ah, or the intercession, is to honor the one that gives the shafa'ah, the intercessor. To honor the Prophet ﷺ will be honored among all humanity. He will be given the status of the best of all humanity when everybody's going from one messenger to the other asking for the reckoning to start, and the Prophet ﷺ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give him the permission, and this is the daraja al-rafi'a, this is the highest level that the Prophet ﷺ will be given, this shafa'a al-uzma, the major intercession. So this is to honor the intercessor, and that's why also the believers will intercede, to honor them in the day of judgment, as a way of, it's very clear how a person will understand it. The third condition, that the shafa'a, for the person to receive it, al-mashfu' lahu, the person that is the subject of the shafa'a, the one that benefit from it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be pleased with him, and as a result of that, the shafa'a would work. That means, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not pleased with him, it doesn't matter, the shafa'a would never work. You can do that in matters of this dunya, this life, right? You know the king, right, that had already decided to punish that person, right, whatever person. So you know the king, you're someone close to him, so you go tell him, please, for me, forgive him, and so on. So he said, okay, but he's not pleased with him, right? It's just because of the intercession of this person, he allowed it. This is in dunya, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the perfect names and attributes. Nobody is to dictate on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that so and so to be freed from the hellfire or to be forgiven when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not pleased with him. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be pleased with him, and as a result of that He will give the permission and a way to honor the intercessor. And that means what if we apply these three conditions? Who do we ask from, and who do we seek in matters of intercession and other than intercession? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? He's the one subhanahu wa ta'ala that we worship, He's the one that we make dua, 2, and so on. So this is with regards to the shafa'a. Clear with these conditions. And then he mentioned some of the evidences of how, and we have to think of the significance of this, that the tawheed versus the shirk, the oneness of worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, opposite to that is the worst thing ever, which is associating partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has nothing whatsoever of lineage or favors of this world, or nobody can benefit another when it comes to the tawheed versus shirk. No one whatsoever. Right? The nisbah, as Shaykh Taymiyyah rahimahullah, he said, the nisbah between the human being and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nisbah meaning his relationship, if it's correct to say it like that, between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his slaves, from the slaves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the ubudiyyah. Nothing but the servitude of Allah, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to obey him. There's no other relationship. What I mean by this is, if a person is, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, out of, as the ulama mentioned that, say a messenger of Allah. All the messengers of Allah, they are the best people ever. Right? But even the messengers of Allah, their status is not because of something to do with their race, or how they look, or because they are from the progeny of another messenger. It's nothing of this. It's because of their ubudiyyah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because they reach the perfect level in ubudiyyah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the true meaning. And this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose them and elevated them. And the evidence of that, we would see no favor to no one when it comes to matters of shirk and associating partners with Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to his beloved Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, the best man ever walked on the face of earth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, وَلَئِنْ أَشْرَكْتَ لَيَحْبَطَنَّ عَمَلُكَ وَلَتَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. Which means, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, if you associate partners with Allah, your deeds will be rendered in vain, and you will be in the hereafter from among the losers. Can you imagine this is to who is being said to this? It's to the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. The best man ever walked on the face of earth, and the ayah is very strong. Why? Because there is no favor of nobody whatsoever when it comes to associating partners with Allah, and with the fact that the Prophet ﷺ, no one on the face of earth reached the level of oneness of worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like him alayhi salatu wasalam, from among all the human beings. And still you would find the statement, and more than one statement like that in the Quran to the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. Surah Al-Haqqah, for example. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said towards the end of the surah, anybody remember? Surah what is it? وَلَوْ تَقَوَّلَ عَلَيْنَا بَعْضَ الْأَقَوِيلِ لَأَخَذْنَا مِنْهُ بِالْيَمِينِ ثُمَّ لَقَطَعْنَا مِنْهُ الْوَتِينَ. Which means if he say about us, about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, lies, which would never happen of course, that he would be taken in a swift punishment, and he will be punished and so on, to show that this is not an easy matter, right? And there's no favor for nobody whatsoever when it comes to matters of tawheed versus shirk. That's why we would understand then that the most beloved to some of the prophets are among the people of the hellfire, like the father of Ibrahim alayhi salam, right? He's in the hellfire, as it's stated in the Quran. If we love the messengers of Allah, as Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu said, similar statement is, it hurts the hearts of the believers. And a person might even reach the level of that he wished that he will, his parents are instead of the father of Ibrahim alayhi salam, or the father and the mother of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But this is the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? There's no favors of nobody. So it's not a matter of emotions. And sometimes people, when they take these matters of belief as, you do not love the messengers of Allah because you claim that their parents are in the hellfire, and so it's not us. It's not for us to decide this. This is something that we follow what's in the wahy, what's in the revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not something that makes us so happy and we talk about it all the time and spread this in every khutbah and every this. Of course not, right? It makes the believers, makes them sad, right? But this is the deen of Allah. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the uncle of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abu Lahab, Quran to be revealed till the day of judgment with regards to the uncle of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and so on. So this is a very important point to show to us that the most valuable thing, which is the tawheed, the oneness of worship of Allah, versus the worst thing ever, which is the shirk, nothing is the like of this. But when it comes to sins, you see the shafa'ah and the intercession, not to belittle the sins, but to show us the severity of associating oneness with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so on. And the Prophet ﷺ, when the ayah was revealed, وَأَنذِرْ عَشِيرَتَكَ الْأَقْرَبِينَ, warn your close relatives and so on. The Prophet ﷺ called the people of Quraysh, and they all came together, and the Prophet ﷺ started saying to them, one by one tribe after another, because of the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Bani Ka'b ibn Ru'ay, or the sons of Ka'b ibn Ru'ay, أنقذوا أنفسكم من النار, shield yourself, protect yourself from the hellfire. Ya Bani Murra ibn Ka'b, calling the different tribes, أنقذوا أنفسكم من النار, save yourself from the fire. Ya Bani Abd Shams, or the sons of Abd Shams, أنقذوا أنفسكم من النار. And the Prophet ﷺ, although they were present, all of them, he did not just give them a general call, oh people, right? He was going one after another, right? To make it very clear and very precise. Save yourself from the fire. Ya Bani Abd Manaf, or the sons of Abd Manaf, أنقذوا أنفسكم من النار, save yourself from the fire. Ya Bani Hashim, his tribe alayhi salatu wasalam, أنقذوا أنفسكم من النار, save yourself from the fire. Ya Bani Abd al-Muttalib, أنقذوا أنفسكم من النار, O Bani Abd al-Muttalib, save yourself from the fire. Ya Fatima, أنقذي نفسك من النار, the most beloved of the Prophet ﷺ from his daughter alayhi salatu wasalam, is telling her, save yourself from the fire. Not that I'm the messenger, I'm your father, don't worry, I'll take care of you, I'll intercede for you, do whatever you want to do. Fatima radiallahu anha, she reached the level that she reached, not because just the fact that she is the daughter of the Prophet ﷺ, because of her actions and her ubudiyyah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that when this is there, and she is the daughter of the Prophet ﷺ, definitely nobody can get into this level. It's not like we deny the fact that her virtue is only by her actions. No, but the virtue of being the daughter of the Prophet ﷺ comes after her actions. But it's a level. It's a level of virtue, you understand? So that's why, for example, if somebody is from the lineage of the Prophet ﷺ, they call him Sayyid or whatever, right? And again, many things are not authentic, just people, call things like that. There's no benefit of it unless a person is following the Prophet ﷺ. So if a person from the offsprings of the Prophet ﷺ, right, and he is not following the way the Prophet ﷺ, he has no virtue whatsoever, right? But if he is from the progeny of the Prophet ﷺ, and he's a righteous person, then yes, we love him more than anyone else, more than others. Why? Because you add to this that he is from the best lineage whatsoever, right? And the Prophet ﷺ had ordered us to take care of his family, and that's why loving them is part of loving the Prophet ﷺ and loving the deen of Islam, right? So, but again, according to this criteria of knowing the virtues and so on. And then after the Prophet ﷺ said to all of them, and to his own daughter ﷺ, he said, فَإِنِّي لَا أَمْلِكُ لَكُم مِّنَ اللَّهِ شَيْئًا, because indeed I do not own anything from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to you. Nothing. He has no ownership ﷺ. He's the best man, nobody, human being, better than the Prophet ﷺ. He said, I do not own anything from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for you. To that extent, to that level, the matter of tawheed and to protect ourselves from the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it doesn't matter whether a person is the son of this great alim or this righteous man or whatever there is no benefit of this unless a person is a servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And another narration, Ya Fatima bint Muhammad, Ya Safiya bint Abd al-Muttalib, the aunt of the Prophet ﷺ, Ya Bani Abd al-Muttalib, La amliku lakum min Allahi shay'an, saluni min mali ma shi'tu. Right? It's the same thing. I do not own anything from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to you. Ask me from my wealth as much as you want. No problem. I can give you all of my money. But when it comes to the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, entering Jannah to be saved from the hellfire, you have to earn this, you have to seek your salvation and to seek the closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so on. Also the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, when he gave the khutbah in khutbah al-wada', in the farewell pilgrimage of the Prophet ﷺ, one of the things that he said alayhi salatu wassalam, as the hadith of Abi Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he said, and it was said in a different occasion, he said that فَذَكَرَ الْغُلُولِ. Al-ghulul is when a person steals from the booty of the world, stealing in general. So the Prophet ﷺ talked about it and showed its danger and so on. And then he said alayhi salatu wassalam, لَا أَلْفَيَنَّ أَحَدَكُمْ يَجِيءُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ عَلَى رَقَبَتِهِ بَعِيرٌ لَهُ رُغَاء يقول يا رسول الله أغثني فأقول لا أملك لك شيئا قد أبلغتك لا ألفين أحدكم يجيء يوم القيامة على رقبته فرس له حمحمة فيقول يا رسول الله أغثني فأقول لا أملك لك شيئا قد أبلغتك لا ألفين أحدكم يجيء يوم القيامة على رقبته شاة لها ثغاء فيقول يا رسول الله أغثني فأقول لا أملك لك شيئا قد أبلغتك لا ألفين أحدكم يجيء يوم القيامة على رقبته رقاع تخفق ثياب فيقول يا رسول الله تخفق أغثني فأقول لا أملك لك شيئا قد أبلغتك لا ألفين أحدكم يجيء يوم القيامة على رقبته صامت أيمان فيقول يا رسول الله أغثني فأقول لا أملك لك شيئا قد أبلغتك. Hadith in Sahih Bukhari and Muslim. Prophet ﷺ again specifying one thing after another, saying that I don't want anybody to come in the day of judgment, right, with in his neck a camel that's drooling on him, right, because he comes in the day of judgment with the camel that he stole, right, that he took without the right for him to take it, comes with him in the day of judgment, like to expose him. And it means that anybody that took anything without the right for him to take it, he will come in the day of judgment carrying that thing. Whether it's a building or animals or money or whatever there is, he comes with it. Exposed in front of all human beings that he had taken that without the right to take it. So the Prophet ﷺ, and see how the talk of the Prophet ﷺ to the people in this life, as if you're talking to someone about what's next door. Right? Don't do this so that I don't see you, as if it's very close. And the matter is like this. This life with the hereafter, it's very close. And it's connected. It's right after this life. So the Prophet ﷺ was not talking to them in something that, after millions of years is going to happen. He's saying in the same context as if you're talking to someone, I don't want to see you in, 2 blocks away doing this. Of course, he was not saying that, alayhi salatu wassalam. He was saying that I don't want to see anyone coming in the day of judgment on his neck a camel that has its, drooling, and he would say, Ya Rasulullah, aghithni. He would say, O Messenger of Allah, save me. Because he has this, the evidence on him that means he is to be punished. He said, I don't want you to do that. I do not own anything for you. I cannot help you. Right? I had conveyed the message. And then the Prophet ﷺ talked about the horse and the same thing. And all the things that I read. And someone that has a goat with him. Or someone that has a piece of cloth that is waving by the air, right? A cloth that he has on him, on his shoulder, that he took without the right for him to take that, or money, wealth. And each one of them would say, Ya Rasulullah, aghithni, O Messenger of Allah, help me. He said, La amliku laka min Allahi shay'a. I don't own anything from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to you. Unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him the permission, right? So this is what is mentioned in the other hadith. And there are many hadith like this. So this is with regards to the shafa'ah of the Prophet ﷺ. And of course his shafa'ah and his dua to the believers, it's benefiting for them in this life, matters of their deen. Well, this is consensus among the people, the Muslims. And the same thing with his shafa'ah, intercession in the day of judgment. And the people of sins and so on. As for the non-permissible shafa'ah, or it does not exist, with the disbelievers, they believe these types of things, whether it's to angels, whether it's to the prophets or the righteous people, they would intercede for them, for the mushrikeen, for the disbelievers. And that's why they start making the images of these righteous people, right, as a mean of intercession. And this is something that is very clear of how they did that. هؤلاء شفعاؤنا عند الله. they would say that these are our intercessions to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when they had the images of the righteous people or messengers of Allah that they were worshipping, they were asking them to intercede for them to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? And this is of course major shirk. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exposed them in the Quran. And this is definitely something that takes the person outside the fold of Islam. And how the people of Nuh, they took these waddan wa la suwa'a wa la wutha wa ya'uqa wa nasra, they made these images just to remember them whenever a person is about to commit a sin, is to stay away from the sin as a result of seeing these pictures and so on, and then later on they worship them besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ, Bukhari and others, where he ordered Ali radiallahu anhu ألا يدع قبرا مشرفا إلا سواه ولا تمثالا إلا طمسه ومحا. That any time he would see a grave that is higher from the ground, it's supposed to be only one hand span height without being built with cement or bricks or any of these types of things that people do. Just from the dirt on the ground to be high enough for people to see that this is a grave so that they don't step on it. The flat grave, totally flat like how the graves here, this is against the sunnah. It should be, a little bit higher so that people would know that this is a grave, so that they don't step on it. And, putting the name, and what is even worse, when people would put Quran on these, what do they call it, this thing? The what? The gravestone. They put Quran on it and you have dogs come and urinate on these things. This is definitely not permissible, even if it's secured, it doesn't matter. It is not permissible to write your name and the date of birth and make dua and ayah here or there. Picture too, picture and all these types of things is not permissible, right? It is meant in the deen that you not remember too much where you are buried. People think that when they're buried they want to keep it so that people will come and make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for them for millions of years. Maybe your immediate relatives, they would know where is your grave, but anybody here knows where is the grave of his fifth grandfather, for example? Nobody knows, right? And this is meant to be this way. Why? No shirk is done here, because there is something that the shaitan plays with the hearts of people with regards to those who are dead. Those who are alive that you saw them, you see their deficiency with your own eyes. So you don't have this ta'zeem, you don't have this exaltation to them. When you see the most righteous person on earth, right? You see him and you meet him and so on, you don't feel anything because he's deficient in front of you. He gets sick, weak, he goes to the bathroom, things like this. But those who passed away, Shaitan has his way in which he would get people to exalt them so much, right? So that's why when their pictures comes out or their graves are there, and then a person would see something in his dream, Shaitan coming to his dream, his blessings, nur coming from this place, right, and things like that, and ignorance prevails, so people will start going worshipping this grave besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so on and so forth. And this is not just in the 1,000 years ago, this is till today. I remember a place in my city, and the guy, the Shaykh of the tariqah, whatever, died, and they buried him in the masjid as they usually do, which is haram, which is not permissible, and it's not permissible to pray in a masjid like that whatsoever, as the Prophet ﷺ forbade us from that, even if there's no other masjid in the whole locality. Pray at home, but never approach these masajid that has graves in it. They build a masjid on these graves. Anyway, so this thing is, actually he was not buried in the masjid, right? He was buried outside, but the shaitan came into the dream of someone that this man is such a great man, he needs to be buried in the masjid. But this is maybe 15 years ago. He came to whose dream? To the Muhafid of the Iskandari, to the governor of the city of Alexandria. Right? He came into his dream, you need to get him out, move him to the masjid. And of course, he had to do this, otherwise he's disobeying his dream. Right? And people start takbir and all kinds of things, right? Which is, of course, this is means of shirk to start, and then of course it evolves and it gets worse and worse. So the point is, it's the issue of the masajid or the graves is to not, the significance of not being known. Anybody knows where the grave of Zubayr ibn Awam, for example, one of the 10 Mubashirin bil Jannah. Where is he? He's buried somewhere between Al-Iraq and Mecca. He was coming back, right? He died. Did they say, let's carry his body to Mecca so that the people pray in the Haram? Thousands of people, and and all the Sahaba would make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for him, so you get all these blessings. So we should carry him. Died on the way, buried him in the same place. And that's it. And nobody knows where he is. But he is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala one of the people of Jannah for sure, as the Prophet ﷺ said. Right? Where is the graves of the messengers of Allah? There is not one grave except the grave of the Prophet ﷺ. He's the only messenger that his grave is known for sure. All of the other things, never believe any of this. There's no authentication of anything. Whether they say the qabr of Ibrahim alayhi salam, Shu'aib in Yemen, all of these things is all false. There's no authentication of this whatsoever. Right? And again, there is no significance to matters of, when it comes to one's actions and belief and so on. So the Prophet ﷺ ordered Ali radiallahu anhu and his ummah that if the grave is high, is to make it to the ground. And وَلَا تِمْثَالًا إِلَّا طَمَسًا, and there is no statue of an image unless you would wipe it, and mainly the head, as the Prophet ﷺ said, as-surah al-ra's. The image is the head, not the face, the head. He said al-ra's, right? He did not say al-wajh. Some people think that as long as it's wiped, you're fine, and the circle is there. No, this is wajh different than al-ra's. Al-ra's is that meaning you chop his head off. Right? The statue, of course, right? So the statue is with no head whatsoever. Otherwise, if it has a head, that's not permissible. Even if there's no eyes and nose, and the same thing with drawing, right? With the children and everything, they think that as long as you just make a circle, you're fine. No, make the whole body, no problem, but no head, right? And if you do it like this, there's no point of drawing the whole body anyway, right? But the point is, it's as the Prophet ﷺ said, al-ra's, which is the head as an organ, not the face. And this is what he said to Ali radiallahu anhu, وَلَعْنَ الْمُصَوَّرِينَ, and he had cursed those who are image takers. Stop at this point, don't take too much, but we reached in the point where now he's going to talk about tawassul. And there are three different meanings of tawassul, and what are the meanings of it, and what is permissible and what is not permissible. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the right understanding and to protect us from all means of associating partners with Allah, and to make us among those who dies on the tawheed.